Everybody knows that the best video game is Luigi's Mansion, except for the people who don't know that. I've always loved Luigi's Mansion. As an early GameCube title, it wasn't exactly what you'd call a groundbreaking system seller on the level of Mario 64, for instance, although it was a great video game, just in a more subtle way. Atmosphere, setting, doorknob graphics, it was very much in its own way a special video game. It was a little spooky, but in a primarily whimsical manner. I've always wanted to see ROM hacks of this game, and in the last couple years we finally started to see that happen, and this may seem a little cliche, but that's kinda cool. During this year's F3 presentation, another Ouija House ROM hack was shown off called Project Reality, showing a goofy Render 96 looking Luigi exploring Big Boo's haunt. And I was immediately sold on that premise, and lo and behold, we finally have a demo. Huzzah! This demo runs about half an hour, so there's only so much I can say without giving away the entire game because I don't want to spoil all the surprises for you, so this is going to be a shorter video than usual. But look on the bright side. This way you'll have more time to play the game. Project Reality takes place shortly after Super Mario 64, I think. Luigi specifies that Mario just got done beating Bowser and getting all the Power Stars, and Luigi ponders the possibility of going on an adventure together. It is at this time that a letter arrives addressed to Mario. Apparently the Boos in Big Boo's haunt are not happy about Mario having killed all of them, which, understandable. They kidnap Mario and bring him to the mansion, so Luigi has to go rescue him, armed with a special golden vacuum from Dr. Elvin, which, if you didn't know, is what the E in EGAD stands for. It seems as though it takes place in a different continuity than the official one, and that this is more like a unique interpretation of Luigi's Mansion, rather than an additive piece of lore. The visuals are most adjacent to Render 96, which itself was a Mario 64 project, and the primary setting of the game is a Mario 64 level. So I think of this as being kind of like a Mario 64 side story, and not just a Luigi's Mansion interpretation. It's kind of a lot of things. The graphics are the first thing you're gonna notice. Everything has been remodeled and redone in most cases to be reminiscent of the Render 96 project, which certainly makes it unique, but other things have been updated as well, like the HUD, which is simple yet uninvasive. One thing I noticed is the character models on the Boos. They're super rounded and smooth looking. I don't know how many polygons they got going on there, but it's noticeably more than I would expect. If I was feeling crazy, I would turn on wireframe rendering and count them all, but I'm not gonna do that. Yet. In terms of gameplay, the gameplay loop is largely the same. You go from room to room, vacuuming up ghosts and cash money. I'm guessing the final game will have some kind of ranking system based on how many monies you accumulated, but that feature has not been added yet, it seems. There is a new mechanic with the invisibility cap that allows the Ouija to weege his way through solid objects. I can definitely see this being utilized in funny and interesting ways down the road. It is worth noting that there are actually 2 difficulty settings, which is pretty neat. I picked normal mode, but people who have more patience than me are more than welcome to try the hard mode. I'm not gonna stop you. There are a couple of janky moments, which is pretty par for the course for a demo, especially considering this is a Luigi's Mansion ROM hack. The scene for this game is still relatively new, so the tools and general understanding of how to mod this game are still being figured out and fine-tuned, at least so I understand. Because of this, Luigi's Mansion ROM hackers, at least so I imagine, don't have the advantages that Mario 64 hackers do, for instance, so there are still some occasional bumps in the road, but for the most part, this hack actually worked pretty well. One of the coolest things about this mod is the new ghosts. The Boos don't behave like they do in the base game, instead behaving more like regular ghosts that wander the halls. You also got an assortment of goons that all look like they might have come from the other Luigi's Mansion titles. You got the giant eyeballs from Mario 64 and the evil books with teeth that fly out of the bookcases and try to eat you. Big boss battles with King Babam and the Master Hands, or whatever the hell they're called. The mansion, despite being the one from Mario 64, has been heavily modified such that it's still surprising even if you've already experienced it in the game it originally came from. One of my favorite things about ROM hacks is all the fan service. These are fan games when all is said and done, so it makes sense that they would reference other games and materials. My favorite cameo is easily Lady Bow from Paper Mario. She has this little Paper Mario room with all this familiar imagery sitting on a shelf in the background, and you actually have to capture her butler or bootler and bring him back. That was pretty funny. This is only a half-hour demo in its current state, and I've already given away a lot, so I'm gonna leave it here for now, but when the game gets more content or it's complete, you can expect me to circle back to it, because it is very funny to watch Luigi's arms move like that. Yeah, some of the animations are kinda goofy, but I'm not sure I necessarily want them to change it. When it's done, I'm coming back. But for now, I'm just gonna tell you to play the demo for yourself. Because if you don't, Reggie's gonna get you. He's standing right behind you.
What's wrong with you?